I got engaged to Liam. Not long after the engagement, Liam marched into my executive suite with his so-called soulmate in tow, more bodyguard than boyfriend, really, to deliver their little ultimatum. Serena, I only love Ava. You'd better learn your place. Ava hovered behind him, eyes shining with triumph. Sorry, Serena, but Liam and I are truly in love. I watched their two-person opera without blinking. Should I applaud your epic romance now? Or do you need a drumroll first? People keep warning girls not to charity marry. We haven't even finished the rescue act and they're already flexing? Cute. After Liam's TED Talk on self-confidence and Ava's declaration of eternal devotion, I felt nothing. I simply finished signing the approval stack on my desk. A minute later, I glanced up. The lovebirds were still there. Do you need me to clap? Happy now. I gave them a slow 3-beat clap and added a polite critique. Bravo. Truly Oscar-worthy love. Liam winced at my indifference. What the hell is that supposed to mean, Serena? I hit the intercom and called security. It means message received. Perched in my chair, I stared him down. Liam lost his filter. What are you so cocky about? You're just a woman. Sooner or later Vance lands in my lap. Know your role, and I might let you keep a seat at the table. I finally looked at him. No panic, no shame. Only the bored glance you give a malfunctioning spreadsheet. His skin crawled under the appraisal. I let my gaze travel from his Italian loafers to Ava's borrowed pearls and back. And suddenly I understood everything. When security escorted them out, I offered a sincere benediction. I always said you two were a match made in heaven, and Ava, you've exceeded every expectation. Liam and I go way back. I'm the Vance second daughter. He's the Coldridge second son. Coldridge has been bleeding cash for years while Vance stock only climbs. Once we were almost equals. Now the Coldridge Tower is one refinancing away from a wrecking ball. Yet Liam still swaggers like the city's crown prince, an impressive level of stupid, but on brand. Marry virtue, they say. A bad wife bankrupts 3 generations. The Coldridge saga is the textbook. Their decline started the day Grandma married in. She personally handpicked the next Coldridge for her tea-pouring reflexes. A toxic dream team. Between Grandma and Coldridge's boundless praise, Liam grew into the perfect, unbearable, golden grandson. When he snatched my toy at 6, they called it alpha instincts. When I took it back, they sniffed that little girls should be seen not scrapping. I hold grudges the way banks hold collateral, so I boycotted every Coldridge barbecue after that. I hated boys on principle, including Dad, until Eleanor came home early from a board trip. I buried my face in her coat and sobbed. Mommy, are you giving me away? They said I have to babysit that monster, or they'll starve me. And did Daddy hit you because you had me instead of a boy? I want Sabrina. I won't go to Coldridge. They're mean, every last one. Eleanor pieced the story together, stroking my hair. Baby, they're talking nonsense. Mommy loves you to the moon. So does Daddy. He's just forgetful. We're never playing with them again, deal? I nodded against her shoulder and cried myself to sleep. Details blur afterward. All I know is I woke up sharing pancakes with Sabrina and our Lego fortress. Vance, Coldridge cordiality flatlined on the operating table, at least in public. You'd think that ruled out matrimony, but Coldridge skin is rhino thick. They scented desperation and circled for a feeding. Victor, ever the gentleman, left the dirty work to the women. What began as a courtesy dinner morphed into a betrothal ambush. Coldridge actually said, "Now that we've broken bread, let's consider them engaged." Eleanor and I spotted the trap by the second course. Eleanor unsheathed her claws. Fine. While we're at it, I'll line up a few extra fiancés for my daughter. Variety keeps the bloodline vigorous. Coldridge tried to crater my market value. Marriage is sacred. A girl without virtue is worthless to Coldridge. Coleridge Sr. looked ready to crawl under the table. Eleanor laughed outright. How quaint. Rest assured, my daughter will never want for suitors. Outgunned, Coleridge dragged me into the crossfire. Serena, speak up. You're crazy about Liam, aren't you? I'd been sipping chrysanthemum tea and enjoying the circus, but if she insisted. Really? Do enlighten me, Coleridge. She spoke as though the wedding were tomorrow. You studied at the same college. Why else follow him if you didn't intend to marry him? I treat delusion like background noise. I set my cup down and tuned her out. Coleridge Sr. rose abruptly. Victor, we'll head out. I'll call you tomorrow to apologize properly. He herded his wife and Liam toward the door before she could auction my dowry. Once their taillights disappeared, Eleanor turned to Victor. Explain. Victor fidgeted. You know how shaky their finances are. After Serena's toy incident, I kept my distance. Eleanor cut in, voice like cracked ice. Yet you dragged us to this humiliation. Can't bear to watch your old buddy sink, so you throw our daughter into the quicksand? Try charity yourself. Marry him if you're so concerned. Victor's eyelid twitched. I swear I only wanted to let him down gently, and failing in front of us was gentler. Dad shot me a silent SOS. I rolled my eyes and poured Eleanor more tea.
Mom, breathe.
Coleridge is imploding, hollow pillars plus termites. They won't last the fiscal year. I added sweetly, of course, we've got termites too, but with you on raid duty we'll survive. Dad would have traded me for goodwill tonight. Lucky me, I've got you. A girl with a mom is sitting on a throne. Victor gaped. I didn't let him squeeze a word in. Mom. Dad's glaring daggers at me. Victor, stop bullying Serena. Honey, I wouldn't dare. He absolutely would. I stepped into the corridor and speed dialed. Saint, have you been handing out charity passes again? What are you talking about? Liam and his soulmate waltzed into my office for a taunt session. Did you hand them the keycard? Not me. How commendable. Under your airtight leadership, any intern can stroll into C-suite. Better pick our burial plot. Vance and Coleridge can share a headstone. I hung up. Men and their endless second chances. Exhausting. Only the Vance line ran pure. No messy entanglements. And that's the only reason we hadn't ended up like the Coleridge family. Since this wasn't another spasm of Victor's do-gooding, I followed procedure. First, I clipped the security footage of Liam marching his soulmate into my executive suite to declare their love. Then I hit the intercom. Find out who cleared the two visitors who showed up around 10:20. Deal with whoever was on duty. Apart from Victor, who else could have done it? Truth is, you never know who the traitors are until something blows up. Turns out our tidy little clan could cough up a second turncoat. I closed my eyes and ran the roster. The hack had to be an inside job, and the mole needed history with Coleridge.
Grandma?
Sabrina? Mom? They all think Liam is a joke. None of them would let him past reception to humiliate me. Call it professional courtesy among women who measure success in board seats. Then I remembered a relative I'd never met. My grandfather, Walter. All I knew was that he'd been the Vance trophy husband, long since divorced from Grandma. Vance and Coleridge had been family friends forever, but Walter's personal ties to them? Wild guess. If he wasn't born into Coleridge, the pipeline had to be Grandma. I'd just texted Sabrina asking about Walter when a string of unknown messages popped up. Serena, it's Ava. Can we talk? I'll give Liam back to you. Faster than I expected, but still not smart. Her offer wasn't worth the pixels. I checked the time, almost lunch. Better to have this wrapped up by noon. If it dragged on, I'd lose the window. Fine. 12 o'clock, lobby cafe. Rubbing my temples, I considered the expanding mess. This engagement was a joke, yet it couldn't be ignored. Liam himself was easy, hothouse orchid raised by Coleridge, zero impulse control, zero original thoughts. Marching his girlfriend in to taunt me only helped my side. The Coleridge conglomerate, though, was a hornet's nest, and Coleridge specialized in tantrums that pass for strategy. When someone decides the rules don't apply to them, even the sharpest lawyer sounds like they're speaking Latin. Now Walter was poking around too. A whispered alliance between him and Coleridge could gum up everything. Blood truly is the sharpest blade. It kills before you see the wound. And the person who tied the bell has to untie it. I took the seat opposite Ava and watched her squirm. I let the silence grow while I studied the menu. Lunch had to be solid or my afternoon would crater. Only after I ordered did she speak. "Serena, you planned this, didn't you?" I slowed my coffee stir. Face blank. "Planned what?" "Me and Liam. You knew we'd end up together." I didn't bite. Not quite. "At most I introduced you. Everything after that was your script, not mine. I'm not a fortune teller." Realizing I wouldn't hand her lines, she spilled her theory, eyes flicking to my reactions. Broad strokes, she got it right. Back in college, Liam had shown up a few times on family orders, flirtation dripping entitlement. I'm not a masochist and the Coleridge genome is rotten. Nothing happened. Ava, however, saw the second son of a crumbling empire and smelled money. I used her to shake Liam off. But the sequence mattered. The first second I saw Ava, I knew she would betray me. Ambition radiated off her, sculpted by a small-town ceiling. Snag a rich man. Change your stars.
For most people, that's plan A.
I happened to be the richest person she could reach, so I expected the knife to come from her first. Liam needed a new mom, to pry him out of Coleridge's grip, someone who'd coddle him, never curb him, live off his crumbs. The match was obvious. I simply stepped aside. So whenever Ava begged to tag along with Liam and me, I waved her in. 1. I hated being alone with him. 2. The more reckless he looked, the more material I collected. When she finished, I gave a noncommittal nod and a polite smile. Sounds logical. Are you here to say you want a refund? Ava swallowed a gulp of coffee, bitterness and pride in one convulsive sip. I smiled wider. No surprise. She'd wanted an ATM. Instead, she'd found 2 paper shredders. "So you figured out Liam isn't a money printer, and now you want me to set you up with someone new?" She pressed her lips and nodded. I lifted a brow, charitable enough to explain reality. "Heart, we're not friends. Technically, you're the other woman. On paper, we're enemies. Even if Liam and I were strangers, the fact stands, you broke into my engagement. As for referrals, look higher. Climb over Liam. Don't crawl to the girl you replaced." Ava insisted I owed her a payoff for using her. Watching her tantrum, I decided she belonged with Coleridge, same flavor of hysterics as Coleridge and Grandma. "I'm afraid you overestimate me, Hart. I misjudged character. Nothing more."
Good day.
I stood and left. "Ava, I'm still curious what your next move will be." I got back to the executive suite ready for a catnap when Sabrina's reply landed, complete with a zip file titled "Men, Their Little Problems." I clicked, skimmed, and whistled. Elders party harder than influencers. Timestamps showed she'd compiled it within minutes of my text. "So, sis, you already had the dossier?" "Yup. Every joint project with Coleridge is infected. I've been disinfecting since I took over." Lightbulb. No wonder Coleridge was clinging to this engagement. Sabrina had cut off their supply. "Sabrina, you're amazing. Any question, just ask. Do whatever you want." I sent back a heart and kiss emoji. She's always had my back. We're twins. Sabrina, the heir, was raised at Grandma's need to be wartime commander. I was originally bred to be a bargaining chip. Dad's idea, not Mom's. Mom just wanted me to have a late start, a lighter childhood. She missed Dad's subplot. Sabrina smelled it first. Victor getting cozy with Coleridge. Every time I came home from Coleridge dinner looking like roadkill, she filed them under villains. She and Grandma shut Dad down, disinherited Victor, skipped straight to Sabrina. Now Victor plays middle management while Sabrina controls the crown jewels. I'm her left hand. Victor still thinks the clock will turn. But Coleridge is about to learn the time is mine. I invited her to afternoon tea this weekend, told her 30 minutes early, just in case she planned an ambush. But when I arrived, Coleridge still hadn't shown. She drifted in a good 10 minutes late. I knew the delay was a deliberate power play. I said nothing. I simply opened the file and got to the point. After all, I was about to hand her a return gift spectacular enough to make up for the wait. I'm sure Coleridge knows what I'm asking for today. She gave a cold snort, clearly aware that Liam had already paraded Ava in front of me. What's there to fuss about? A man keeps a few side pieces. Perfectly normal. I didn't argue. You're right. I'm sure it is. Thinking I'd seen the light, she brightened for about half a second before I dumped ice water on her relief. Then I'll be sure to spread the word for the young Coleridge in all the right circles. You're engaged. How does that help you? It helps me starting today. I slid the folder across the table. Logan isn't Coleridge blood. I believe that single-line item is enough to tear up the engagement contract. The more she read, the tighter she clenched the pages until the paper crumpled beneath her manicure, yet she kept her voice hard. You're talking nonsense. These are forgeries. I'll sue you for libel. I hadn't forged a thing. Someone else had done that months ago. I'd simply extracted their convenient lie and weaponized it. Really? Then why not ask the man himself? The color drained from her face. I knew she wouldn't ask. Some doors must stay closed. Selective blindness is her survival creed. It's the guiding principle of her life, enshrined and adored. All I'd done was exploit the soft spot in her armor. Coleridge's cadet branch is circling like vultures. How long do you think your household would last if they heard this little bedtime story? Coleridge's head snapped up, eyes pinning me in place. She couldn't abandon the life she'd clawed into. She had no choice but to nod. Serena, these documents, they die with your discretion. The next chapter is written by you, not me. Secrets only work on the uninformed, which meant, besides the woman I'd just conned, only Walter still slept inside the fairy tale. The logic wasn't complicated. Grandma's status hinged on one asset, the child. Otherwise, Coleridge would never have swallowed the insult. This isn't the Middle Ages. Paternity tests are a phone call away. Walter, newly rich and ecstatic that someone else would fund his grandson, simply hadn't wanted to look. The fantasy suited him until he tried to funnel my family's money toward his blood. Only Liam's ego could boast. In the end, Vance will land in my hands. Everyone thinks I'm the soft target. I can't let that pass. At minimum, I splash mud on their tuxedos. I arranged for Walter to receive the truth with guaranteed physical safety. At his age, a heart attack would be on my conscience. Yet vermin live forever. Walter absorbed the revelation in eerie calm. The quieter he stays, the louder the coming storm. Let them maul each other. Now it's my family's turn to bite. I've never understood why Victor aids Coleridge, slotting Sabrina and me into rigid roles from birth. Male equals heir, female equals bargaining chip. Sabrina is groomed like a prince. I'm polished like a dowry. He claims to love Eleanor, so why not the children she bore? He, too, was raised by Grandma. Could he not grasp her lessons? Did he side with Grandpa because of a shared Y chromosome? Is brotherhood the only glue men ever need? Survey the marriages around me. Grandma and Grandpa. Helpmate lifts me to the clouds. I repay her with a shrine to my first love. Dad and Mom. Pedigree and worldview aligned. Happily ever after, until the landmine they buried in their kids detonates. Coleridge's union. Mosquito and blood bag. Outwardly fused, spiritually drained. Or a match made in heaven if mosquitoes had heavens. Even Eleanor's marriage looks exemplary by comparison, which shackles me further. If no one else is wrong, Does that make me evil for hating him? Self-knowledge doesn't thaw the hate. So I reschedule my afternoon and knock on the door of the woman who once rewrote my future. My grandmother, Beatrice. Every tactic I've used bears her watermark. She taught me to read people. Peel back their wants, and they hand you the knife. My detachment, she said, is a moat, no cravings, no chains. Her final lecture was marriage, the unavoidable exam for girls society insists on treating as collateral. Her own answer sheet was flawed, so she offered one caution: never enter a charity marriage. Asymmetric kindness ferments malice. I'd executed that lesson flawlessly, until now. I sit opposite her while she coaxes a ceramic pot through its ritual dance of steam and glaze, and the scent alone steadies my pulse. She pours, palms the cup toward me. The porcelain warms my hands, and a tear stupidly splashes the tea. Beatrice slides a tissue across, wordless. When the silence stops shaking, she asks, "What happened?" I dump the entire saga into her lap and finish with every question clawing my ribs. She listens so long the ticking clock sounds like rainfall. When she finally speaks, her voice is soft gravel. You've misread your parents' dynamic. In practice, it's Eleanor who holds the power. But you've seen exactly what she wanted you to see. That, too, is strength. Our marital rot traces back to my own curriculum. I believed both parents matter equally, until Victor photocopied Walter's shadow and taped it over his soul. Sabrina saw through the paper mask and gave up on him. I redirected my energy to the two of you. Victor can't face children who outrank him. He'd rather burn the castle than kneel inside it. She taps the table twice, marking the quiz key. You keep wondering why your father feeds the lie. Any theories? I line the breadcrumbs and state the cleanest hypothesis.
Opportunity.
He wants to prove competence. Blood fealty buys trust. Using me as collateral relaxes Coleridge's guard while he carves off pieces of their empire. Beatrice chuckles, proud and sad. You quote every lecture. Life is applied economics, right? I lift an eyebrow. Wrong. You're an A student, sweetheart, but humans carry buggy emotions. Answer half correct. Yes, he wants validation, but not from the market. From me. He'd rather implode than admit I was right. So he doubles down with Walter, all the way to the cliff. I cradle the lukewarm cup, knuckles whitening. Grandma, does wanting to wreck him make me the villain? She knows I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for permission warped by love. So she simply pats the back of my hand once, steady, certain, and lets the silence speak the rest. Do whatever you want. We only get one life. There's no rule that says you have to humor him. If you can knock some sense into that rebellious boy, consider it a public service.
Thanks, Grandma.
I understand. During a lull in my workday, I was slacking off, mulling over how to deliver a convincing and well-deserved blow to Victor. Negotiation is all about leverage. Revenge works the same way. If you don't hit something or someone that matters, how will it ever leave a scar? There's no such thing as sudden repentance. People only change when the pain is unbearable. So what will make him hurt? I shut my eyes and thought, but my mind was a blank slate. No thread to pull. A knock on the door scattered my drifting thoughts. Come in. President Serena, Liam is downstairs making a scene, demanding to see you. I was struck speechless. A grown man, throwing tantrums like a toddler.
Oh,
Did he say what he wants? He says you owe him an explanation, that you're heartless, you destroyed his family, and you drove away the woman he loves. One guest told me Coleridge and Walter were pulling strings behind this. Coleridge can't control me and won't give up the good life, so she's praying Liam grows a spine. As for Walter, he's lost more than face, he's lost money. And when men decide to be ruthless, they're terrifying. The puzzle clicked. Then send him to his family. Back to Coleridge? I shook my head with a look that said you're missing the picture. The gentleman downstairs is Victor's favorite nephew. I understand.
Go.
Keep an eye on them. I don't want any drama in my lobby. Yes, ma'am.
See?
Take me out of the equation, and his whole world caves in. I'm like a load-bearing column. Ugly, in the way, yet indispensable. Everyone's plans assume I'll always be there, so why does each of them think they can stomp on me? After ruining his day, I felt deliciously cheerful. Fresh mischief began percolating. I texted Eleanor, conspiring to give Victor a lesson he'd never forget. For a man burning with obsession like Victor, the sharpest blades are separation from what he loves and denial of what he craves. Eleanor gave him everything, and he took it for granted. Then he betrayed her without a second thought, chasing the fatherly affection he'd always lacked. He broke her heart without noticing and still had the gall to resent her, to call her selfish, to accuse her of abandoning him. So my hating him is practically family tradition. It doesn't make me cold-blooded. People really can't stand being talked about. I'd barely settled back into my work when my executive suite door burst open. I frowned without looking up. What? No one answered. I lifted my gaze to find Victor hovering in the doorway and arched a brow. Expanding your resume into door guard services, Vance. He just stared, silent. I couldn't be bothered decoding his latest mood. He's my father, not the other way around. He has free time, so the world must stop. If he won't speak, he can stand there forever. Since you're offering, I'll accept your hospitality. I turned back to my files. If only Victor weren't such a lost cause, Sabrina and I wouldn't be wasting our prime years in corporate jail. Thinking that made him even more repellent. Anger blinded me until my phone buzzed, reminding me of lunch with Sabrina. Only then did I realize he was still there. Since he refused to talk, I pretended he didn't exist. I packed up and left. Please, I invented the silent treatment. I froze him out as a kid, and I can still do it. I spotted Sabrina waiting from afar and pounced. Sabrina, why didn't you wait inside? My eyes sparkled, dying for her answer. She pinched my cheek. I'm here to collect our little princess, Serena. I beamed. Sabrina always gets my weirdness. Sabrina, Sabrina, Sabrina. She answered every single call without complaint. At lunch, she catered to my quirks like always. I heaved an exaggerated sigh. She glanced up and played along. What's wrong? I shaped a huge heart with my hands. You're so good to me, I'm falling in love. I'll never find a boyfriend now. Sabrina didn't feign modesty. Perfectly normal. I started bringing her up to speed. She'd been traveling. I swear Victor only bullies me when Sabrina's away because he knows he'd lose. But I was raised by Sabrina, I boasted. She looked proud. Her little sister had turned out fine, able to protect herself even without Big Sis around. You did well. Curious, I asked, Sabrina, how long do you think Coldridge can last? She volleyed back. What's your take? I knew she was testing me, so I thought aloud. A few months at most. Coldridge has been teetering for generations. Before, Victor fed the vultures with our flesh. Now you've cut the umbilical, but… Sabrina picked up the thread. But this generation's heir, no telling if he has the skill to prop up a collapsing sky. I stared straight at her. Smiling, she confirmed, spot on. Logan is capable, but his weakness guarantees he can't save the game. Too indecisive. In a family conglomerate, that's fatal. Founders can afford sentiment. They attract talent and build empires. Heirs need nerve, cut out the rot. No hesitation. The Coldridge rot is generational. A centipede doesn't drop dead at once, but they've reached the final twitch. I lifted my cup to hide a grin. Music to my ears. Eyes dancing, I asked, so, what's your verdict on Victor? Sabrina was blunt, obsessed and one track. Any bright ideas? You already have a plan. I'll just coordinate. Leave it to me then. Back at the office, Victor was still on door guard duty. When he saw me, he forced the words out. "Serena, we need to talk." I happily made life harder. "Business or personal?" "Both." "Fine, business. Come back during office hours. I nap at noon." "Serena, must you be like this?"
His tone amused me.
All I'd done was refuse to dance to his tune. "Victor, the only reason you can spend your days agonizing over romance is that Sabrina and I are carrying the load. Let me be clear, nobody owes you anything. Try living in the real world." My lunchtime alarm rang. I snapped into acting mode and faked a call. "Hi, Eleanor. How's the overseas project?" "Having fun. I always said Uncle Caleb's great." "I know you love Victor, but hormones can cloud judgment." "Eleanor, you're not old. Gorgeous, rich, kind. Plenty of people lining up for a love ticket. Stay safe. Love you, Mom, moi." I caught Victor freezing mid-step and smirked. Human potential really is limitless. One jolt, and the prank ideas pinged nonstop, enough to torment him forever. "Victor, you're still here? How rude. Eavesdropping on my call." He left, deflated. It wasn't quite the script I'd written, but the rewrite played even better. After all, I hadn't told a single lie. Uncle Winter really is a great man. If he weren't, Eleanor would never have let him into my orbit. That's the difference between Eleanor and Victor in one clean stroke. Eleanor bars outsiders from hurting the family, while Victor orders the family to swallow the outsider whole. He runs us like a poison jar trial. Whoever crawls out alive earns the Vance last name.
Disgusting.
Maybe Eleanor is simply too good, good enough to let Victor imagine he's actually human. And Winter's son Caleb? The fiancé Eleanor curated resume by resume. Taking care of your future in-laws is just good etiquette. As for poor Victor, ever since he stood by and let Coleridge bully me as a kid, I've made it my hobby to whisper every one of his failures back at him.
Call it interest on the debt.
I texted Eleanor a situation report, then got my next assignment. One arranged coffee date. With Caleb. Face-to-face, mutual inspection. I trust Mom's vetting process. Zero resistance. Copy that. Caleb, though, coincidence? The name rings a faint bell. I yawned. Whatever. We'll meet soon enough. Right now, I need sleep. Date day. Sabrina chased me home early to make myself presentable. I gave her the side eye. "Sabrina, you've met him? You approve? Stop spiraling. Eleanor told me to bird dog you, so you don't ghost the guy." My ego inflated. As if I'd bail on a date. Under her stare, the balloon popped. "Fine, I only do that to people I like, you and Mom, basically." She laughed, helpless. "Heartless little imp. Go home before your happiness infects me." I hugged her. "I'll bring back dessert." Scoot. All the nagging made me jittery. I'd been zen, just meeting someone. I showed up 10 minutes early. Someone was already there. "Sorry, I'm late." Caleb glanced at his watch. "You're not. I'm early. I had a meeting nearby." I'd only been polite, so I took the excuse. "Hi, I'm Serena." He looked once, then twice. Do I have something on my face? His brow creased. We know each other, right? Cue panic scroll through every brain file. Awkward level max. He remembers, I don't. I'm terrible with faces. Hint. We had the same advisor in grad school. Memory tsunami.
Caleb.
Sorry, the name felt familiar. Really sorry, senior. He smiled the tension away. Normal. We haven't seen each other since graduation. I probably only stuck in your head because I already had a crush. A rueful shrug. Thought it was mutual, my mistake. The pass clicked. You're not wrong. I liked you too. But attraction wasn't enough. We both chose the future. His mouth curved. Guess we're still on the same wavelength. I nodded. So you're Uncle Winter's kid? I don't remember seeing you around. I was a chubby kid incognito. I studied his features. Little chub, big bro. He flushed and dipped his head. Wow, the glow up is real. Small talk over. We slid into interview mode. Mind if I ask about your dating history? He slid me a resume, timeline, hobbies, KPIs of his life. I'd brought one too. Since he showed his, I flashed mine. His romance column, blank. Family stats, excellent. Net impression, suspiciously perfect, borderline scam. Blunt question, why no girlfriends? He flipped my page. Our resumes were near clones. Same reason as you, I guess. Life works solo, and I didn't need another person for emotional ROI. No incentive to date. Fair. So what changed? Eleanor mentioned she was sourcing fiancés. Figured I'd throw my hat in. For people like us, marriage is WD-40, works with anyone, but affection still shifts the equation. I met his eyes. Let's test the fit. I'd like to try too. Turns out Caleb and I run on the same OS. Destiny? Or just grown-up dating? Under Eleanor's training, Victor finally surrendered. He stepped outside the ring Walter drew for him and sobered up. I almost pitied him. He's only occasionally delusional, and Beatrice's groundwork is solid. No felonies on record. That mercy lasted until Eleanor told me he was muttering that I was plotting again. Pigs gag on truffles. He earned every paranoid minute. The Coldridge conglomerate imploded right on schedule. Dynasty of figurehead heirs. Nepotism larvae chewing the beams hollow. Logan, though, had his escape pod, his own tech shop, thriving. He knows his limits. Liam never learned that. Bankruptcy plus Ava's desertion finally kicked Liam into adulthood. He's tailing Logan like an intern. Big brother doesn't coddle, like Coldridge. Walter and Beatrice have stopped air kissing and started full combat. Coldridge even divorced her. Once the last grandkid was launched, he discovered decisiveness. I was munching that popcorn when Caleb slid a small box across the table. Serena, marry me. The automatic no melted when I saw his eyes. Already. He pretended to calculate. Feels right on schedule. Reading my face, he revised, a little fast. I laughed, nerves evaporating. Okay. He froze mid-stand. What did you say? I grabbed my purse. Good words don't repeat. Missed it? Your loss. He scrambled up, bag in hand. I heard you. No takebacks. Thanks for listening. On a 1 to 10 scale, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, hit like and share with friends. Drop your thoughts below, subscribe for more, and see you next episode.